Good morning. Today is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. The narrative of this week's Torah portion concerns Balak, who is a king, who hires Bilaam, a non-Jewish prophet, to curse the Jewish people because Balak is afraid of their approach, and he hires Bilaam to curse the Jewish people. There is a subplot near the beginning of the portion that appears to be quite extraneous, to have nothing to do with the essential elements of the plot. And it goes like this. First of all, God had told Bilaam not to go with these people. And Bilaam insisted. And finally God said, listen, if you're going to go, you're going to go. But just remember, excuse me, if you're going to speak words of prophecy, you're only going to be able to speak the words that I put in your mouth. So Bilaam starts off, and he's riding on his donkey. And the donkey sees in front of them something blocking the path that Bilaam cannot see. It's a malach, it's an angel. And somehow the donkey can see it. Bilaam, the rider, cannot see it. And the donkey moves to the side. Bilaam doesn't know why the donkey is moving to the side. And so he hits the animal to go back into the middle of the path. And this happens 3 separate times. And each time Bilaam hits the donkey. And then something that is a pella, it's a wonder. Vayivtach Hashem es pi hason. And God opened the mouth of the donkey, and the donkey started speaking. Just when the donkey starts speaking, some of the people cannot speak so well. Okay. The donkey starts speaking, and the donkey says to Bilaam, what are you doing to me? Have I ever been disloyal to you? Did I ever give you any reason to hit me? And now you've hit me 3 times? So the Torah does not tell us if or how much Bilaam is surprised that his donkey is talking to him, because Bilaam answers him and says, well, but you aren't going on the road in a straight line. And the donkey says, well, I'm not going in a straight line because can't you see what's right in front of us? And of course the point is that Bilaam cannot see what's right in front of him. And then God opens the eyes of Bilaam. And Bilaam now sees this angel blocking the way. And now he understands why the donkey could not go straight. And the angel is there to remind him of what God had said. You're only going to be able to say words of prophecy that our God puts in your mouth. Vayomer Bilaam el malach Hashem. And Bilaam says to the angel, Chatasi, I sinned, I was wrong. What was the sin that Bilaam did, for which he said Chatasi? Well, first of all, clearly the point of this subtext, it's not necessary for the rest of the narrative. We never again meet this donkey. But I think it's clear the idea is to show Bilaam, you think you can go and do whatever you want? You don't even have the inside of your donkey. Certainly you're not going to be able to speak whatever you want. You're going to have to speak what God tells you. It's a reinforcement of this message. That the great Bilaam, who was a prophet, is not able to see what his own donkey could see. Chatasi. What was the sin? Says the Rambam, Maimonides says, Bilaam violated the Torah prohibition of tsar balei chayim, of causing unnecessary pain to animals. Tsar Balei Chayim is not just a very serious sin in the Torah, a biblical prohibition, but it is also a category. What I mean by that is to say there are many, many of the 613 biblical commandments that are under the umbrella of Tsar Balei Chayim, the prohibition against causing unnecessary pain to animals. For example, there's a mitzvah that if an animal is struggling under its load, you're required to help the animal. There's an obligation that if an animal is helping to harvest a field, you're not allowed to muzzle the animal. The animal is allowed to eat while it's working. You can't prevent the animal from eating a little bit while it's working. We're not allowed to take two different animals and hitch them to a plow or some other kind of moving vehicle at the same time, because different animals walk with a different gait. It would be uncomfortable to have a horse and a cow together pulling a plow or a carriage. There's a mitzvah kan sipor. We have to be concerned with the emotions of an animal. Don't take away the baby animal while the mother is there. There are, of course, all the laws of ritual slaughter, which require as the primary goal to cause as little pain as possible. The knife must be very smooth, very sharp, so as not to nick the animal. The cut has to be very precise, so the animal dies immediately and does not feel pain. And many, many other mitzvahs in the Torah. So Tsar Balei Chayim is not a mitzvah, a prohibition to cause unnecessary pain to animals. It's a category. It's an umbrella mitzvah with many, 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 many details. Of course, the Torah does give us permission to use animals, even to take the life of animals for human needs, such as for food, such as for medical research. But of course, it must be a genuine need. It's permitted to use animals for necessary medical research, but it is not permitted, according to Jewish law, to use animals in a way that causes them pain to do research for cosmetics. It's absolutely prohibited, according to Jewish law. It's not the right thing for a person to go hunting as a sport or a hobby, because animals that are killed by hunting are not kosher. And so you're just hurting animals or killing animals for no constructive reason. It's not the right thing. We are not allowed to mistreat an animal, whether it is an animal in our possession or an animal not in our possession. And that applies to all of our pets. I've been learning about something recently, and it's a very sensitive subject. I am aware how important pets are to people. I'm aware the extent of the relationship a person can have with a dog or a cat or a pet. I'm aware of many, many positive aspects of this. But researchers tell us that many, many animals that are kept as pets, even when the owners think of themselves as being very kind to the animals, many, many of those animals show signs of anxiety and stress and depression. So we have to be very, very careful. And not only is this a mitzvah about animals, but very often a person who as a young person mistreats animals, that is often a red flag about deeper levels and deeper layers of problematic behavior that may come out later in life. If we do have an animal that we own, it could be a pet or a farm animal, we have an obligation to make sure every time we sit down to a meal for ourselves to make sure that our animal is taken care of first. Our animals come first in terms of feeding, in terms of giving water, in terms of taking care of them. And the way that people treat animals is a very revealing look at the people themselves. And I think that on a deeper level, beyond getting us to see that Bilaam couldn't even see what his animals saw, I think the Torah portion with this subtext wants to tell us something deeper about Bilaam's character. Because this was a humiliating experience for him. He couldn't even see what his donkey could see. His donkey was criticizing him. It's humiliating. When I was a boy, I used to ride horses. My family had a farm, and every summer I and my cousins would take lessons and we would ride. I had my own horse for several years as a child. I haven't done it many years, but I enjoyed it very much. And there's a lot to learn. One of the important things to learn, I'll just talk about horse riding because I had that experience as a child. So, if you're riding a horse, you want the horse to do what you want. To go when you want it to go, to stop when you want it to stop, to go fast, to go slow, turn left, turn right. You want to be able to guide the horse. When you see a rider and the way that they're getting the horse to move, or to stop, or to turn, is by hitting the horse a lot, I can tell you something. They don't know how to take care of a horse. They don't know how to ride a horse. Because, and it sounds amazing, but it is really true. The way that you ride a horse must be the relationship you build before you step on top of the horse, while you're on the ground. If you don't build a relationship with this animal, then the animal is not going to respond to you. The goal of horseback riding, for riders who learn and who know what they're supposed to be doing, is that the way to get a horse to move more quickly is the most slight squeezing of your knees against the horse. The most slight. Never kicking. That's like a last resort in an emergency. It's a slight pressure that you apply with your knees. The way you get a horse to turn or to go faster is the slightest motion on the bridle, the straps that you're holding. The slightest motion. And when you jerk it to one side, when you act in a rough manner, well, all that means is that you have lost the respect of the horse. Yes, sadly, it is possible to move a horse with anger, with hitting, with kicking. Yes, I mean, those are terrible, terrible things. They're terrible sins. But you're not going to get the horse to listen to you for very long. Only until the horse has the opportunity to get away from you or to position itself so that it can kick you in the face. A good rider builds a relationship on the ground. And it's a relationship of respect and it's a relationship of understanding so that the slightest movement communicates between the horse and the rider. We're shown in our Torah portion that Bilaam did not have that. He did not have respect for his animal. He certainly did not have respect for the Jewish people. And that's the way in which this subtext comes to illuminate an aspect of Bilaam's character that tells us something about the person and about the entire narrative of this week's Torah portion. We are supposed to learn about Bilaam's deficient character due to this subplot in a subtle manner. And we have to learn from this how careful we have to be to treat animals well and to recognize that one who does not treat animals well most likely has something much more deeply wrong that needs to be fixed. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.